So we're going to do half an hour Koshinage followed by a seated half-hour lecture on the floating bridge of heaven. Does anyone have? Is that cool?
Way cool, dude.
After we're going to do some warm-ups. Okay, so one of the things we've been learning a lot, but I'm a big believer in warm-ups. So everybody stand up, and it's just I'm going to run us through. We just ate lunch. Let's stretch out a little bit. And then we can get into the next portion of today's entertainment. Come up a little, just let's make it. So, I'm a big believer in warm-ups being a chance also to really think of them more as key exercises than warm-ups. Every motion should be one involving extension, expansion, all the stuff we know. So let's start out like this, reaching out to the sides. All right, back hand is extending as much as your front hand. Right, if you're balanced. Opens up the spine, the chest. Transition to this. Footy. Now we're transitioning. Footy that we know. Okay. Now here's a big extension around a plane that's right in front of you, a disc that's right in front of you. Keep your eyes, your hands all lined up. Stop at the bottom, reverse. Extend all the way up through the ceiling, through the walls, through the floor, reverse. Right? Articulate the back. Extend out. Just get the back mobilized, all the stiff backs mobilized, moving, a little more blood flow. Okay, from down here, straightforward stretch. And reach back. Back down. And reach back. All right. Now, down into the horse stance, like this. Keep it up. Right? You can put your hands on your knees. Point is to open the hips up. Open up the groin, open up the hips. You can have your elbows on your knees like this. But you want to really feel that your thighs are kind of parallel to the ground. All right? Stretch out. You can drop your butt a little lower if you want. Okay? And from here, twist to your left. Also, you get a snap, crackle, pop. You don't. Extend again. Extend. Twist the spine. Twist the spine. And back again. Okay, from here, just turn to your side, down on one knee. Let your body fall forward, live toes in the back, or flat, I suppose. I like it like this more, where your toes up. Your body's falling as far forward as it can. Your thigh should be, your calf should be vertical, perpendicular to the ground. Stretch this out. From here, you can just sit back onto your back leg and then actually reach forward. And this is a really isolated hamstring stretch for those who can do it. As much as you can. Keep your leg as straight as you can. And just stay there for a minute. Okay, from here, turn around, other side. Okay. Stretches, all kinds of necessary stuff inside. And sit back. Okay. I'll stand up. Let's just do our joint stretches here. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going. 2, 3, 4, 5. Different people have different styles of this part of the stretching. Some people will take this stance and use it as a chance to stretch the calf in the back, right? And then you can finish doing the side, and then you can switch without moving your head, and then do the next one. But let's do Nikyo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And try and make the pinky touch your nose. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Sankyo. As Ralph Sensei said earlier, some people you see doing it like this. We've been accustomed to doing it like this. We'll do it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch. 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Kotegaeshi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. And from here, let's just do that nice forearm wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shake it out. Okay, and let's do just sort of a breathing squatting exercise, much like we did on Thursday night. You know, you can do it in both directions. Let's do it starting scooping up from below, deep squat, and up, extend out. I go up on my toes there, extend out, and then as you drop down, inhale, and then comes the exhale. Big extension. So the question was raised about, what gets people interested in Aikido. And it depends on the person, it depends on the situation. Recently I had someone new, and I found that the thing that really got people interested was realizing, giving them a sense of agency right away. And the way you do that is when we're doing the stretches, I'm not just telling them to do this. I'm saying, okay, here's why we do this. This is called Ikkyo. You just do it, go easy, don't do anything. People who haven't experienced any kind of joint techniques before, it makes an impression. This is way to Kotegaeshi, this is Kotegaeshi. You end up with someone who feels from the applied technique that what they're doing for the warm-up makes a difference. What they're doing here in this dojo, this thing that they're going to start, actually has a chance to give them some agency. And that right away feels like, okay, I can follow that thread. So this gathering, I think, is it's interesting for me. I'm basically trying to scrap everything I had planned, basically because of everything that's already been taught, right? But actually, it's more complicated than that. I'm realizing that what I intended to show, what we'll do today, has already come out. It's already been shown in what you've done, Bobby, what you've done, right? Warren, same thing, Mark. We're seeing this confluence that's happening on its own naturally. We sort of check notes, but not really. And that's a testament to Imazumi's teaching, I think, because the principles have accumulated and keep presenting themselves at every opportunity, no matter what you're showing. And I think that's profoundly powerful. If I had to say what is the most valuable thing learning from this, I would have to say in one word, it's awareness. Now you can talk more about that, but for the sake of an exercise that I'd like to do with you all, that is all about awareness and observation, being observant. Something that doesn't discriminate by rank. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner or if you've been doing it for 50 years, it's of no consequence. And in a sense, it doesn't matter what implement you use. But for the sake of today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use to Joe. So we're not doing weapons. We're doing, this is an exercise. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do, and there's probably not enough Joe here, so you can take vocab. You can do it with your arm against each other. It doesn't matter, really. You're taking Honte ni Kamae. If you have Joe, you take Honte ni Kamae, and you cross this kosa. Now, in this exercise, and again, it doesn't matter rank, none of it matters. The main thing here is you want these to meet on center lines, right? Jennifer's not pushing, she's just there, right? She's just present. We want to maintain distance. And we want to use that footwork that we've learned so well from our teacher. One person's going to lead, one person's going to follow. So I'll start leading. I want you to, on this plane, for now we're just going to go back and forth. Just maintain the distance when I extend. Follow me. She's smiling. You know why she's smiling? Okay? So what happens is, it's pretty clear. I think it's self-evident. The whole idea of assumptions, what you talked about, thinking that you know what Mark Sensei was saying earlier, thinking that you know, second guessing, predicting what your partner's going to do, what your attacker is going to do, leads to disaster. I don't have a name for this other than calling it the squeegee, because it just squeegees all. The point is to completely erase every assumption you may have. So, Honte ni Kamae, you're simply going to watch me, you're going to respond. That's all there is to it, and just keep a clear mind. Now, one thing that we can do here, I don't think we have enough space, but you can start doing this. And if you just come over, right? So once again, we have to lead. This also teaches Ashisabaki, right? So if I'm going back, right, Koshin, I start with the foot that's closest. If I want to go forward, Zenshin, I want to go with the foot that's closest. So we can keep it on. You can also go, right, and then match it up. You get 4 directions. It gets to be a challenge. Because of the number of folks here, I'd say we're going to line up this way. I think we can fit if we're efficient. Just keep it on this plane. One thing that's really important, that what tends to happen when we're leading and following, right? I'm exaggerating, but the idea of, you can mix up the timing, right? But don't fall into the trap of speeding up. Don't fall into this trap of trying to beat. I'm not trying to win. I'm not trying to, it doesn't matter where you move. I'm just moving. This is for you. So, I'm not trying to get one over, right? So you can go faster and then pause and then go, you can mix up the timing a bit, right? But the whole point is observation. Notice that we're keeping mitsuke, right? The eye contact. I'm looking right at you or even past you. But can you see my feet looking at me?
No. You're too tall.
Oh, stop.
Delete
that. I told you to do the
No, I can't.
But the idea is if you have this tall thing, everybody's stuck in the tall thing. If you've got to watch, you have to connect with the partner, the person you're working with. And it's so important, don't be looking at the sticks. The sticks don't matter, right? If we just do this, right, we're like so, and you want to lead. Doesn't matter, you can do it with that, you can do it with a book, and you can do it with the chopsticks or fingers, okay? But for now, I would say, find a partner, each of you get matching sticks of some sort, and let's give this a try.
So let me suggest,
Do it again with someone else. And I think in some way, I've come to think that that's a process, it's almost like an algebra, you're solving for X. What is this technique, right? If you do it with one person, you think that's the technique. Then you do it with someone else, and it feels completely different. And you realize that, hold it, that wasn't the tech, that was me doing that technique with that person, and I'm doing it. So what's left? What's actually left? Once you cancel out those two people, maybe the technique is left over, or a piece of it, right? If you do that for long enough, so I think that's the genius of switching partners. You get a completely different experience, and what's revealed, what's washed away, reveals the actual piece of the technique that you can hang on to and keep building. So let's switch partners and keep doing this for another few minutes, and then we'll move on. So I had some ideas about connection between center line and the blade of the hand. I think I've shifted things since we've had our classes today already, but it's the same principle because it keeps coming out. So let's start with Katate Kosatori, okay? So one thing that I wanted to propose doing this, just however you want to do it. We'll talk about what I have in mind for the technique first. Let's do Nikkyo, okay? So let's move. So Nikkyo, you see a lot of people doing this. That may or may not work, that's fine. But actually I want you to just do Katate Kosatori Nikkyo, Takubi Kiri. You guys know this one? Do it and let's see what you discover. And then I want to talk about that a little more, but without saying anything else, let's do that. Experience of, a technique that I sort of wanted everyone to find their own way that they're doing it, instead of saying, hey, do it wrong. That doesn't really, I'm interested in that, but for this, I just want to let it happen as it's going to happen. Mr. Cheney. So, I'm picking a guy, someone I know who has a brutal grip. All right, so, now a lot of what happens in this technique is that you get into this stalemate here, where you're imaging here and pinning down and all that. Even if you manage to get your hand over here, you're stepping right, and we end up in basically a perfect, key exercise where I'm not ending up on top. So, I'm really want you all to focus on the Teikatana. Every single technique that we were doing today so far, and I would say every single technique that you do, period, benefits from the fact that you have a sword, okay? The sword ends here. The sword begins here, and there are different parts to it. We'll talk about that in a second. But this corresponds to the end of the sword, which is the killing part of the sword, right? If we're doing kokyunai, let's say shonuchi, kokyunai, we come up here. This is more the controlling, parrying part of the sword, right? But here, this is different. I'm a big believer in images, visual images, and trying to make shapes, follow shapes that you see. So I want you to pair up again, but this time try the following. Imagine your pinky going up, over the forearm, under, and around. In other words, I'm going to try and touch my palm with my own pinky, okay? If you do that and you're relaxed, that's that. I'm not pushing down on that. because it's not going to happen with him. It's just not going to happen. But relax and simply extend the pinky out. That's it. The Nikyo must be a relaxed thing. It doesn't work if it's tense. If I'm fighting him, right? I just want to come around, up and under. Imagine that image, try it, and do it as lightly as you possibly can, as softly as you can. The softer you do it, the more effective it is. The more you think of this, what does this look like? Right? Sukuyage. So that's you're using the blade of the hand to cut up. So as relaxed as you can, using that image of Sukuyage and pinky. This is the pinky over and over again, right? Very powerful. Why is the pinky so powerful? Why is Sensei always emphasizing the pinky? Because it's at the end of the sword. This is the monoichi of the sword, right? And it's the leading edge, literally, of tekatana, which is what governs so many techniques. So try that, nice and soft. Okay. See how it comes out. I'll just show you something. So, Mr. Mel. So, okay, the less you do, the better this works. The softer it is, the better it works. A lot of people, so I'm going around kind of encouraging people to do this Sukuyage thing, right? So you never get there, but the image of me cutting up is there. A lot of people starting here and then they bend. Now, some people may go down from that, some people may not. But start their curve, they're good, then they're like, they bend. Trust the technique. Trust it, right? All I'm doing is I'm extending around like that, right? That's it. Okay? So just remember, nice and soft around and under. And don't bail here. It's like, oh, I want something to grab onto. Okay. Don't worry about it. Just let it float out there. The shape floats around the event, this action. It floats around it, and that's all you need. Thanks. So switch partners, Travis.
You're running the camera. Oh, I thought you were handling the camera. I didn't take a second look at it. I think the cameraman has to be looking at
I'm going to put one twist on a technique that Mark Sensei showed, which I think was, I was playing around with Mel. You guys should must. So we did katate tori. So we were talking about, right, we were talking about Sudori. So learned a lot of valuable things about, keeping the space and not having this be an issue. But when you start to think about it in terms of tekatana, right, you end up with a whole host of other things you can do, right? This becomes, it just becomes a blade. So keeping in mind all the things that we got from that technique about, that you taught. In addition, right, this is still, the blade is on my blade. Here, I don't need to switch hands, right? I'm just cutting the blade, or I can cut to the midsection. If this is present, there's a lot you can do. So that's all the time I have. Mr. Bob? I got to lose it.